Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Hey y'all, happy Sunday. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope life is treating you kindly. And yeah, everything's going well. It has been a wink, and things is getting better. Here's hoping I can get back on the tools pretty quick. Uh, Today is going to be slightly different in that I'm going to tread lightly into one area that I try to stay out of. Um, on the more technical side of CNC machining. And but I had a very interesting question. I can always count on you folks to challenge me, and I want to get into that. Um, Also, this is something different from me. You'll notice an absence of a salute and a hello that I used to say at the beginning of every video, and I was finally asked to slow it down. So it's slowed down, and it feels weird not doing it. You don't look at me, and I won't look at you, Steve. Uh, but we'll go ahead and we'll get into it. The question I got, and this is not something I'd considered, was from 8th Center, who asked, what's the best way / software to go from vectors into fonts? Ideally, a program where you can copy and paste over. So I asked for a little bit of clarification. I said, you want to convert vectors into fonts? To which he said, yes, that's exactly what he wanted to do. Then he added, if you have no experience with font making software, don't worry about it. I'll test some this week, but if you did and had a preference. I don't have any experience with font making software. To be honest with you, it's not something I've never considered before. But when you ask that question, it suddenly, at first I couldn't figure out why you would want to do that. And then suddenly it dawned on me, well, if you use certain things very often, why wouldn't you? So I did just a cursory Google search, and there are a bunch of different applications and a bunch of different software that'll do exactly what you're talking about. One of them is an open source software called Font Forge. Now, it's open source, meaning it's free, but open source also means that support for it is free. So you get what you pay for. Just know that. And in fact, I did a search for font creation software and found several. I mean, Font Forge, Font Lab, Monotype, High Logic Font Creator. I mean, all kinds of stuff here. So I decided to do another search for converting vectors to fonts. And you can create vector shapes like you're talking about, then convert them to export them as SVG files, and then importing into the font making software. And you want to, export it as a TTF or OTF file, True Type Font, or I don't remember what OTF stands for. Now, I'm sure somebody out there does know it. All I can say is give it a try. Now, you say that now you're getting at repeatability is nice. Yeah, I understood where you were going with it. But I also understand a little bit about what you do and how you use your CNC. And I can kind of understand why you want the fonts, but you have got a bunch of vector files. Said exporting and importing is a long process, though. Yeah, I get it. Hence why I want to ideally copy and paste from one to the other with two screens open. I get that. I really do. especially, and that's where I was going with this, you have a lot of vector files and you're wanting to convert all of them. Now, I don't know if any of these font creation softwares offer a batch file where you can stage a bunch of them in a queue, and then before you turn in for the night, just batch convert and you go off to bed and let it do its thing while you're not using it, other resources. I don't know if they offer anything like that. Okay, Steve to the rescue again. OTF is an open font type. Okay, all right, all right. And I don't know if there are. I don't know if there are any applications that'll let you copy and paste and then batch convert. Because I mean, you and I have talked before. You have emailed me before. You have a bunch. I mean, probably in the thousands. I don't remember the exact number you said you had. But that would be a seriously daunting task. But I would imagine, just like anything else, you would have to really get into it. But I got to warn you, font creation is an art form in itself. And, and I get what you're doing. I get why you want to do it. There's something else to think about. Okay, Brooks Martin says WinBatch was a program I've used before to do what you're talking about, Mark. Mark. Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah, precision takes time. Exactly. 100%. And I get it. I also don't know. See, now you've got me going down a rabbit hole. Damn you. You got me going down a rabbit hole I never thought about getting into. This is intriguing and entertaining at the same time, watching me tap dance like this. It's something to look into. I have absolutely no experience doing it, but it is intriguing. I do know that you can just import, I think you're using V-carve Pro. I know that you can just import the vector straight from V-carve Pro into your own clip art library. And all that is that's just, well, let me show you here. Let me jump into it. That is simply going into your clip art library and go over to local files, navigate to the folder where you have your vectors stored, folder or folders, where you have your vectors stored, and you can, really jump into it and just add that entire folder to your clip art. It'll be under local files. It won't be under the library browser. Or you can add a folder and then import those all into the folder. It's not necessarily importing, you're just linking. But it'll create a folder here instead of jumping over to local files. So, let's see, would be used on my website. Fonts format is easier to transfer to people than images. Okay, deal. Understanding a lot more now. Okay. And I get it. I really do. That's something to be investigated. Again, I'd never considered it, but now I could understand why you have it. But it's going to be a process. Let me just say that it's going to be a process. I'm sure I don't have to tell you this, open source software, you get what you pay for. Some of it's great, some of it's meh, some of it's downright trash. I'm not a major proponent of open source software, but I'm not against it either. I mean, I use some open source software, but I try to look at other solutions if they're out there, and they're not expensive. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see your result. I know what you're looking for. I know why you're looking for it, and it'd be intrigued, and I'd be interested in hearing your experience in it. That sounds like a real, but it's going to be a project. I'll just warn you there. It's going to be a project, and you may not be able to copy and paste. You might be able to, but you may not be able to copy and paste. Just know that going in. If it is, great. And I'd be interested in hearing about your experience in it, because like I said, it's not something I'd ever considered. So let's see here now. See, now you got me going down that rabbit hole. Have a sip of your favorite beverage. Springtime in Oregon. And the flowers are in bloom, and the allergies are gearing up. But this too shall pass. Let's see now. Had another question here. Let me get to it here. John Thumb says, I imported a 2D image into V-carve, JPEG using trace bitmap, but unable to get it to carve cleanly. It does not want to cut to a good depth. Any suggestions? First of all, how are you trying to carve it? Are we talking about a V carving? Are we talking about pockets, profile cuts? All of that does make a difference. As far as if you're V carving, getting to a proper depth is basically down to the bit that you're using, the V bit that you're using. And this goes back to one of my earlier videos. I don't have it pulled up. I will find it. It was part 1 of a 4-part mini-series on V-carving. And it's how does it work? How does V-carving work? And basically what it is, if you've got, well, let's jump over here into V-carve, and I'll just show it rather than describing it. And we'll pick up, I'm not going to use, yeah, I'll do wingdings. No, I'm not going to use wingdings. Let me go back up to my good old standard trusty Times New Roman, and I'll just do my first name. And I don't want 10-inch text height. Let's go with 4-inch text height. That's better. Close it, and now I'll center it up. Okay. When you go to V-carve something like this, okay, the bit that you choose is going to decide how deep it carves, okay? If we go up here into my tool database and we look at my V-bits, I got all the way down to 10 degree, 15, 30, 60, 90, all of these different V-bits. The whole, basically the whole job of the V-bit is to carve the inside of these vectors. So you see I've got these vectors real close together here. That bit is going to carve shallower than here than it is out here where it's wider, because one side of the V is going to ride this side of the vector, and the other side of the V is going to ride this side of the vector here. So in narrow areas like this, it's not going to plunge deep. As this gets wider, it's going to plunge further, and this is going to be the deeper area. So the thing that you may be, okay, I see you using a 60 degree V-bit 3/8. Okay. The thing that you may be running into is that a 60 degree V-bit is too wide for this here. So let me make this even smaller. I'm going to resize it to, let's make it 1 inch tall. And I've got my XY length, so it's going to shorten it, the text string, as well as the height. So I've got this itty bitty text here. Now, if I close this and go over, let's select it, do a V-carve, then I'm using a 90 degree V-bit. I'm going to turn off the clearance tool, and I'm not going to use a flat depth. I'm just going to let it cut. And I'll calculate it. Now we're looking for the depth of cut. How deep is that 90 degree V-bit going to cut? Okay. So I'm going to hold my cursor over this. And the max depth that's going to cut, if you look down 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth line says the max depth is 0.0842 inches. So 84 thousandths of an inch is the max depth it's going to carve. Let's go ahead and preview that. And we can see while we're up here, this is 8, I think the deepest I saw in here was 8 thousandths. Now we got 13 thousandths, almost 14 thousandths of an inch. That would be very easy to sand out. Very, very easy to sand out if you weren't careful. But if I reset the preview, go back into that toolpath, and I select, let's go with 30 degree V-bit. My 30 degree Groovy Jenny, which is an excellent bit, by the way. So all I've done is I've changed that bit, then recalculated it. Now I can see it's making multiple passes to go deeper here. And I look at it, my max depth is 0.3142. So just by switching from 60 degree to 30 degree V-bit, I've increased that depth manyfold. Okay. 314, that's not quite 3/8 of an inch, but it's bigger than 1/4 of an inch. It's somewhere probably around 5/16, or 5/16, something like that. So if we preview that toolpath now, we can see it's gone a lot deeper up in this area here. Now we're at 40 thousandths, 39. Oh, wow. No, 52 thousandths down in here. That's going to be harder to sand out. That's going to get a lot nicer definition, especially if you seal it with something clear and then come back and paint in this area here, then sand off any overspray or overbrushing or whatever. So just simply changing the bit is going to give you not only a lot more definition, but it's going to carve a lot deeper. Again, it depends on how big the piece is and how deep you want it to go. Let me jump back into the toolpath for just 1 minute. When it comes to using a flat depth, just know, let's say I select a flat depth and I want to go to, let's say, a 1/2 inch, 0.5. This is not going to force the bit to cut a 1/2 inch deep. This is a limit. It won't cut any deeper than a 1/2 inch. So that's unreasonable using this, let me say 0.25, that's a limit. It won't cut any deeper than a 1/4 inch. So all these areas out here that are deeper than a 1/4 inch are not going to have this pointed bottom, this angled bottom. They're going to have a flat bottom. And we'll recalculate, reset the preview, and now we'll preview it. Oh, it did come out with a flat. Hey, what do you know? Okay. So it didn't go. Nope, it didn't go deeper. All right. I thought it went to 0.3 max depth. Okay, it did. So you can see these areas here are flat. So my broader point in all of this is the depth of cut is based on, let's go back to the 2D view here, is based on the amount of space between the vectors it's trying to carve out and the bit you're using. Simply put, a 60-degree V-bit may be just too, maybe, I'm using my hands like you can see me. A 60-degree V-bit may just have too wide of an angle to get as deep as you want to go. So you may have to use a steeper angle, like a 30-degree, maybe even a 15-degree or a 10-degree. It's just, and the smaller the text, the steeper the angle you're going to need. Otherwise, you're going to end up with areas where it just kind of scratches the surface and doesn't really carve into it. And that leads to all kinds of issues. So I hope that answered the question. It's just a matter of previewing other bits and seeing if you get a better results in your preview. And do know that if your preview doesn't look good, the end result is not going to look good. So it's never going to look better than it does in the preview. It can look a lot worse, but it's never going to look better than it looks in the preview. So preview early, preview often, and make one change at a time. That way, if you go making 5 changes, you don't know which one worked. But if you make one change at a time and just kind of follow through with it, you might need to make the design or the pattern larger. If you don't have a bit with a more steeper angle, or you might just have to break down and buy yourself some smaller bits. I never would have thought I would need 15 or 10-degree V-bits, but it turned out I did, because I needed to cut real narrow spaces deeper than I could with the bits that I had. So I hope that answered that question. Now, Stubbs' mom says, I have a font question too. Once you've converted one to vectors and cleaned up all the little extra curly cues and such, can you save it some way so you can use it again without all the extra work? Not a font. Well, technically you could, but I'm not sure that you really want to. Fonts have advantages over vectors in that, what am I doing here? Come on. That's what I meant to do. Fonts have some advantages over vectors in that you can edit them, you can space them apart a lot easier than you can after you've converted them to curves. Can you save them and use them over and over again? Certainly you can, but not the font itself. Once it's converted to curves, it's just another vector. So let's see. I don't know if that makes sense. But If you're looking for a way to convert fonts to curves and then save that as vectors, you're looking at quite a bit of work, especially when it comes to getting them all put on a line. I mean, you can do it. It's no big deal. And getting all the spacing just right. And it's better to do that as a case-by-case basis. Now, if you're using the same text over and over, you can certainly do it. And this is what I was talking about with 8 Center. Let's say you've got the same text over and over. I use Mark all the time, for example. All right. What I can do, let's close this, shoot back over here. I've got it selected. I'm going to right click and convert to vectors. Okay. Now it's no longer a text object. Okay. They're individual vectors. And that's something to remember is like the letter A here. If I select the outline, it's not selecting the center. So I have to select the whole thing, inside and outside. Okay. Now what I can do, I got to save this. So I'll save it to my desktop. Save as, let's go to desktop. And I will call it mark.crv and save it. Okay. Now I can come down here to my clip art and I can go to local files and I can go to desktop and I'm going to look for Mark. There it is. And oops, let me delete this. Then I find Mark right there and I go double click and there it is. So yes, I can bring that back in as curves, but do I really want to? You know? So you can get in here and use this browser basically to search through the vectors that you want from a file that you have. Let's go with this one too, picture frame. I'll put this picture frame up. There's a picture frame, there's the profile, all that stuff. So I can Control Z to undo that. Oops. I say Control Z to undo that. There we go. So yeah, it is possible to save it and then bring it back up. If you use that particular text a lot, go for it. But you lose some of the editability that you would have with a text object, if that makes any sense. So, okay, Butch Miller asks, convert to vectors, convert to curves, 2 ways to say the same thing. Yes, up until I want to say version 12.0, when you right clicked, it didn't say convert to vectors, it said convert to curves. For some reason, they changed convert to vectors. I don't understand the difference. I don't even know if there is a difference. But basically, there are 2 different ways of saying the same thing. It's just habit to me to say convert to curves, because that's all it was. So let's see here. John Thompson is saying, Mark, could you say make a font folder of your own and name it Mark's font? Yes, you certainly could. You're in complete control. And in fact, jumping back here real quick, over here in the clip art library, go into the library browser, you have the ability to add a folder there and throw it, let's see here, let me go into clip art. You can add another folder here like I've already done, my clip art, and there are some of the vectors that I used quite often and just wanted to be able to have it real quick, available to me real quick. So you certainly can do that. As far as fonts are concerned, fonts are different in that they are installed on the computer. And that is something that a lot of people forget. When you say you go to DaFont or 1001 Fonts or whatever website, and you download the font zip file, you first have to extract it, you have to unzip it. Then you have to go to that font. Let's say it's, for some reason, Lebanese dot .ttf. You have to right click on that. And one of the selections in that menu is install. And what it does is it installs itself into the font library for Windows. And now it's available to all Windows programs that allow you to select fonts. Not every program is going to read every font, but if it's a .ttf, true type font file, they should. And that's how you end up getting into weird situations where you've got a bunch of weird looking symbols and stuff in your Microsoft Word or your whatever word processor you use. You have your choice. I mean, there are fonts out there that are for making Celtic knots. They have all the bends and twists and turns for weaving, but that takes some serious study to know what key you have to press on your keyboard to get what shape, where, and when. I mean, it's intriguing as heck, but it's also an art form of its own. So, okay, Maria's asking, what were those shortcuts for increasing and decreasing letter spacing? That is all done within the text window. Go back to the design tab. Let's get rid of that. And we go Mark Lindsay. Let's do it this way. I'm going to backspace, then hit enter, put it on 2 lines. And I want center alignment. We'll close that. Now with it selected, I'll center it up. So I've got 2 lines of text here. Now, to adjust spacing between the letters, I need to go back into the text window. I've got my text highlighted here. You have to have your text selected. Now, if you watch my cursor, when I come back into the text window, my cursor changes. We have a letter V and a letter A. And we have those 2 arrows pointing towards the middle. And we see where that plus sign is. If I put that plus sign in between the M and the A and I click, it moves those letters closer together. To move them further apart, I hold down Shift and left click. These are a little bit closer, too close together. There, that's better. Then I'm looking here. Those are a little too close together. These could be tightened up a little bit. There we go. So it's all within the text window. Just bring your cursor out and you can see what it does. Now, if I want to move the lines together, I come up and put my cursor in between the 2 lines of text. Then right now, if I left click, I'm moving the bottom line up. If I need it further apart, I hold down Shift and I click to move those lines further apart. So I've got, it's all done within the text window, all within the text form. I can drag the text around. I can resize it. I'm going to hold down Shift and resize it from the center, or I can not hold down Shift and resize it just from that corner going in that direction. I can resize here. I can go to the black square and rotate it slightly. All of that's done within the text window. It used to be a separate icon. It's no longer a separate icon. This icon right here will also, you see, convert to curves. Not to vectors, to curves. What the difference is, I could not tell you. Maybe it converts all this text into Bezier curves. Let's find out. So you have to be in the text design window. I thought you could do it another way with the control keys. Not that I know of. But here's something you should be aware of. If you come up here to help, second link is keyboard shortcuts. You click on that, it'll open in a browser window, and of course it opened in another screen, so I have to go over here. Here is a list of all of the keyboard shortcuts. Okay, come down here. No, this is what you, and you just have to scroll down. These are all the keyboard shortcuts, broken up into categories: tab navigation, double-sided job setup, mirror tool. Let's see about text. There's alignment, there are groups, the arrow keys, note editing. These are all the keyboard shortcuts. And see, moving objects, rotating, scaling, polyline, draw a circle, draw an ellipse, a rectangle. I'm not seeing one for text, but we shall see. 3D modeling. Okay, this is for V-carve. So there are a lot fewer keyboard shortcuts than there is for Aspire. But I'm not seeing anything for text at all. So nothing specific to text anyway. Nope. General shortcut keys. Nope. Okay. So there's no keyboard shortcut that I could find. So the short answer to the long question is you have to be in the text design window. Yes. Thought you could do it another way with control keys. Not that I can find. So let's see. Kerning at the mag glass. I don't know what that means. Explain, Kimberly, please. And if you want to make friends and influence people, kerning is simply adjusting the space in between letters or lines. And it works even if they've been rotated. But it keeps it along that line within this bounding box. So, all right. So, one of the things I'm going to tread lightly into is on the technical side of CNC. You've got a channel member, Greg, I saw that you're out there. He walked out this morning and his machine, his x-axis said, nope, show's over, I'm tired. Not going to do it. So without getting into machine-specific troubleshooting when you're having issues like that, I'm just going to say always check the mechanical first. It's our natural inclination to dive into software. But Windows updates notwithstanding, Settings don't change themselves. And if it worked fine yesterday and you made no changes and there was no forced update that you're aware of, settings don't change themselves. So there's no electronic reason why it shouldn't work. Now, he turned on his machine and his x-axis would not jog. It would not move. The motor was cool. It wasn't locking up. It's just not moving. It's not doing anything. So now you have to get into what I call divide and conquer. There are several variables there. There is the motor. There is the cable that connects to the controller, the actual physical box on the CNC that you connect the cable to run to that motor. There is the breakout board inside the controller. There are a lot of different things in there that it could be. So you have to divide and conquer. One way is to limit switches. That could also be true, but that limit switches wouldn't prevent the motor from locking when power is applied. They would still warm up. The axis wouldn't move, you're right there, but they would still heat up. The motor would still heat up. So we've got to figure out which of these variables it could be. Like I say, divide and conquer. The easiest way to do that is to disconnect the cable and make certain before you disconnect or connect any cables, you've turned the CNC off. That controller needs to be turned off. If you're not certain, unplug it. It's got to be turned off. You can easily fry a motor if you apply power to it by unplugging or plugging it in. You can easily fry a motor. I've seen it happen. Make sure it's all turned off. Unplug that cable. Then plug in a cable from another axis. Z is usually the easiest to reach. If it won't reach, the Y. Just unplug that cable, plug it into that motor, then turn it back on and see, did the problem move? Did it change anything? If the X moves on that cable, you've now eliminated the motor from the equation. You know the motor works. So you can shut it down, plug that cable into the Y, if it'll reach. Turn everything back on, see does your Y move. If it does, it could be a connection issue. If it doesn't, you've now narrowed it down to either the cable or the controller. If you can get an extra cable for your X, get it. That's usually the cheapest fix. I see other things here. Dwayne Ruthig says, on mine, if it's a limit switch, none of the axes move, not just one. Yes, and my Gatton CNC was the same way. The Avid is different, but the point is the motor will still lock up and will still warm up. Power is getting to the motor, even if it's a limit switch. A limit switch just won't let you move the axis. And my Gatton CNC was the same way. If one switch was triggered, none of the axes would move. But the motors would still lock up. They would still have power applied to them. If you can't get an extra cable, you're going to have to look into either repairing that one or making your own. But the first thing I would check would be, You can turn the machine on with the motor unplugged. Just don't try to plug it in. Get a multimeter and check all your pins. If you're not getting power at that cable, turn it off. Unplug the cable from the controller and check the pins on the controller itself. Turn it back on and use that multimeter to check the pins on the controller itself. If you're getting power there, it's the cable. Replace it. If you're not getting power out of the controller, you have a controller issue. Now you got to go deeper into that. 99 times out of 100, it's a breakout board. It could be a power supply. If you have separate power supplies. My Avid does have separate power supplies. It's, it could be something as simple and stupid as a bunch of yuck and schmutz up in the connection. Get you some contact cleaner, spray it in there, nylon brush, an old toothbrush, what have you. Blow it out with there, clean it up. Try plugging it all back in, then turn it on and see if that changes it. That's the cheapest, easiest fix. If you have to replace the cable, get a hold of the machine manufacturer. I'm guessing yours is Next Wave. It's a Shark. And get a hold of the manufacturer and get a cable for it. Anything with moving parts is going to have issues. Now, somebody mentioned couplers earlier. Couplers can be an issue, but couplers don't explain the motor not locking up. When you first turn on your CNC and you apply power to those motors, they should click. Sometimes you'll hear a hum, but they're locking. Power has been applied to it. They're locking in place. You cannot move those axes. You can't turn those lead screws or ball screws by hand with power applied to them. And it's that way for a reason. Once you've turned off the power, you'll hear another click and it'll take a little bit for the power to drain out, capacitors being what they are and what have you. But you can come and you can turn especially the X-axis, you can turn that lead screw or that ball screw by hand and the axis will move. That's also why most controller software needs to be homed after you've turned it off and turned it back on. It doesn't know if you've moved an axis while it was powered down, so it doesn't know exactly where it is. That's why that has to be rehomed. That's why it doesn't remember positions. It doesn't know if you've moved it or not. So anyway, I hear percussive maintenance. Coupler issues can be the cause of missteps. And in fact, I have an older video. It's one of the first videos I did about 11 years ago. I've already linked it in the description of this video because I knew we were going to get into this. It's an aid to troubleshooting missteps. And it's simply, if you want to make friends and influence people, they're called slippage marks. All it is in the video, I took white out and I drew a little line down the face of the coupler and then onto the lead screw. That way you can tell at a glance, if you're having an issue, you can look at that coupler and see, did that lead screw twist? If those marks are no longer aligned, you know that coupler is loose. They can tighten it, rehome, start over. But it's a quick way to identify, Steve, right on time. And again, I've linked it in the description of this live stream. It's a quick, easy way to see at a glance if a coupler has slipped. It's not going to correct the issue. You tightening it up is going to correct the issue. But it's an easy way to see it. I was aircraft mechanic. We put slippage marks on every bolt because you had to see, was something coming loose? And you can use, there are specialized products. We used a product called Torque Seal, and it was basically just a lacquer, a thick lacquer in a tube, bright green, bright orange, whatever it was, so it stood out. You could see it. But I've seen people use everything from nail polish to whiteout to just a Sharpie mark, whatever it takes. So that will help troubleshooting. But overall, in general, without being real specific on machines, because I don't know every machine. I know what I've got, and that's about it. Yes, realign the marks before you tighten it, or just replace them. That's one thing about whiteout. You just scrape it off or hit it with some acetone, come right off. Nail polish remover. But yes, realign them or tighten it down and then remark it somehow. But yes. Okay, now I saw, was it Kimberly that asked? Okay, Greg says, "Hey Mark, I switched the cables at the controller. Now Y on the controller moves the X axis." Okay. So you know it's not the motor. The motor works. It says, so it's the main controller. It could be the cable. It could be the cable. But yes, you're on the right track. You've eliminated the motor as being dead. That's a heck of a lot more expensive than a cable. Okay, yes, it was Kimberly. What is a multimeter, and do you have one to show us? Let me dig for it here. But basically, a multimeter is a voltage meter, but it measures more than voltage. Let me go grab mine. And it's not here. Of course it isn't. The short answer is no, I don't have one to show you. Let me, a multimeter, you can get them at your, local Home Depot or Lowe's or what have you, over in the electrical department. A multimeter is simply, well, let me pull up a picture of one. And you will find multimeters all over the place. They are simply a way. There we go. Boink. It's simply a voltage tester. It's more than a voltage tester. It will measure volts, amps. It will do continuity tests to see, is a cable good or bad. No, don't be sorry, Kimberly. Now I got to know. Whoops. Don't be sorry, Kimberly. Now I got to find it. I need to know where the devil my multimeter went, because this is not the only thing I use it for. Yeah, Amazon has them, of course, but if you need one today, there it is, right over there, right next to the whatchamacallit, behind the doohickey. Yeah, but see, my doohickey's missing too. Stop it. So anyhow, go to Lowe's or Home Depot. Stubbs' mom says she got hers at Wally World. Okay. I mean, there are Any of the big box stores will have a basic multimeter. You don't need something that's going to cost, $100. You're not an electrician. You're not going to have the need. Um, you can get a decent quality multimeter for $25. So, John Thompson said, put the cable that was on the motor that didn't work, put it on one that did work, and check the cable. That's the quick and easy way. That's the quick and dirty way. But you have situations, depending upon the size of the machine and the length of the cables, you have situations where it just won't reach. So, having a multimeter is good for more than just this. Um, it's you can do continuity tests with it. You can do voltage check, amperage check, all this other stuff. AC or DC. Just make sure that you've got it set to the right thing, and the instructions will help you out. If you're not really sure what you want or need, if you have an electrical supply company close to you, like we have Grover Electric here, that's all they do. They do electrical and plumbing. You go over to the electrical section, the guys there know electrical. You go over to the plumbing section, the guys there know plumbing. They don't have hardware. They don't have a garden center. They're just electrical and plumbing. I can go over there. I can talk to the dude, tell him what I need, and we're off and running. They'll hook me right up. So, yeah, there are all kinds of things. Making sure there's no power going into something you want to work on. There are all kinds of testers for that. Probably the most basic one. Probably the most basic one is called a wood head, and it's got 3 little LEDs on it. You plug it into the outlet you're going to work on, and it'll tell you. Thank you, dear. I appreciate it. It's probably in the tough shed. See, I got support all over the place. If it ain't Steve, it's my darling. I mean, what can I say? But there's also a little key here that tells you what it means when these LEDs light up. Um, um, no red LED, but both the yellow LEDs are lit up. That means everything's great and there's power. None of them are lit up. There's no power to it. You can also get voltage testers that are real cheap. They take a couple of the little watch batteries. You can get them at Harbor Freight or your local big box stores. And it looks like a pen. You just touch it to a wire and it'll tell you if there's power going to it or not. But that's limited. That's just going to tell you if you have AC power. Power from your wall socket. A multimeter will actually get into each pin and check voltage or amperage at each individual pin so that you can isolate whether there's a problem or not. You can unplug a cable at both ends, put the positive at one end and negative on the other, set your multimeter to check for ohms of resistance, and do a continuity check. That lets you know if it's open, that means that you've got a break in there somewhere, or your connection is wrong or something like that. But generally speaking, the cheapest fix is to just get some contact cleaner, unplug each end of the cable, and clean it with the contact cleaner, a little nylon brush, shoot a little more in there to rinse, and then spray it out with, some canned air or compressor, whatever, blow it out, go to the other end, do the same thing, plug it in and try it. If that doesn't work, you might have to replace the cable. Cables shouldn't be expensive. I don't know if they're available for your Shark or what, but Yeah, John says some of the new multimeters switch from AC to DC or continuity automatically, so you don't need to know which setting you need. Yeah, and again, if you're doing this in a professional capacity, or if you're doing this with even just as a home weekend warrior like me, but you use it a lot, you do a lot of things involving electrical or electronic equipment, then yeah, it's good to have a decent a good quality, like a Fluke or something like that. If it's a 1 or 2 time thing, I mean, how accurate does it have to be? It just needs to know voltage is coming through. You need to know if you've got continuity on the cable. You need to know if you've got power coming out of that controller going into the cable. Then you got to figure out, did you lose a power supply? Is it a connection on the power supply? Is it the breakout board? Is it a connection on the breakout board? Is it a separate controller for each motor? Or is it, oh, I can't think of the word off the top of my head. Come on. Well, it doesn't matter. Is there a separate controller? Is there a separate power supply? What's going on? So, again, divide and conquer, eliminate the variables. So, but also know your limitations. If you're not sure, find somebody that is. That may mean paying somebody, but just know that things like this happen. You know, Barry Lane says, I've seen one at Home Depot for about 20 to 25 bucks. Yeah, they're not super expensive. You can get cheap ones for $10, $11 off of Amazon. But again, you get what you pay for. If it's a one-time thing or something to have in case, then Old Reliable. Harbor Freight has several models at reasonable pricing. You know. So, let's see here. That's how come they call him Sparky. Oh no, I don't. No, I'm not a Sparky. Sparky is a kind of a slang term for an electrician. Kind of a term of endearment. And no, I am not a Sparky. I'm not an electrician. So, wisdom is letting someone expendable do the test. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to steal that. What was the difference between knowledge and wisdom? Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing it doesn't go in a fruit salad. So, rookie electrician, that's what a Sparky is? Okay. All right. I thought that was Bernie. I'm not going to go there. I could tell a story about my old slot machine repairing days, but we had one tech that we called her Sparky because reasons. Anyway, let's see. I think that's about it. Basically, the whole point of everything is to divide and conquer. If you look at the whole thing, and I always check the mechanical first because, again, Windows updates notwithstanding, settings don't change themselves. And if it worked yesterday, the only reason it wouldn't work today is something mechanical happened. I say mechanical, that encompasses electrical and electronics as well. And again, it could be anything. It could be just something as simple as a bunch of yuck on the connectors. But if you've swapped one cable for another and the motor turns on, it locks up, it works. Now you know that the motor's good. So you don't have to take all that apart and everything. So I laugh at the pineapple on pizza argument. Everyone ignores that the base is a fruit. Yeah, well, I think it all comes down to personal preference. Personally, I like Canadian bacon with pineapple. There, I said it, and I'm glad. I don't eat it all the time, but yeah, I like it. All right. Okay. All right. Do we have any other questions that I missed? Did I not given? Did I not get? Did I miss somebody? Wow, was that why I do most of the testing at work? Don't be so eager to volunteer, Leo. You know, because I was that kid growing up. I was that kid. You know, up on the roof of the house with an umbrella, go ahead. Here, Mark, try it. It'll work. And I was always that kid that says, hey, who needs the umbrella? Jump, It didn't matter to me. I was that kid. I was ready for the next challenge. You want to jump off the bridge into the river? I was the first one to go. So and that's why this body is so beat up. It went from doing stupid stuff like that to go-karts and then motorcycles, then cars and race cars and inner tubing on boats and or behind boats rather, all kinds of snowmobiles, you name it. I was ready for it and I just beat this body up. Anyhow, that's apropos of absolutely nothing. Okay, channel members. Tomorrow I have absolutely no idea what we're going to do, but we're going to do it tomorrow. And hopefully we will have fun doing it. We're I could tell a story about that, Rich, but I'll save it for another day. I was also evil. But anyway, as a kid. I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow, but we're going to do it together. So that's where you come in, channel members. Let me know what you want to see, what you want to do. I think I know what's going to happen Thursday, but I'm not certain yet. But tomorrow is an open book. I'm going to talk to a couple of channel members and see if they want to discuss certain topics. We will find out. I don't want to commit anybody to anything right now, public. But I'm sure we'll have fun doing it. I've already created the members only live stream. You'll find a link to that on the posts tab on my YouTube channel. If you have your email notification set up, you've already received the copy. You've already received the link. So tomorrow, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, members only live stream. Hope to see you there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you'd like some information on how to become a channel member, somewhere down below this video panel, you'll see the word join. Go ahead and click that. That's a link. Go ahead and click that. But you're not joining anything. You're just getting information. No obligation. Another video is going to pop up and play. And it's going to tell you all about channel membership. We have a great group of folks, and we'd love to have you join us. You can be part of the super secret Facebook group and the super secret Facebook chat and the even more super secret WhatsApp chat group, which gets rocking and rolling, especially in the mornings, and we have a lot of fun. There's a lot of talk about CNC and 3D printing and van conversions and camping and ice fishing and barbecue and you name it, we get into it. We just have a great, great time. So we'd love to have you join us. And one of the best groups of people I've ever had I've been blessed to meet. I've ever had the pleasure to meet. Not an ego amongst them, and we're all 100% dedicated to success. Whether it be CNC, 3D printing, laser, any of it, all of it. Even barbecue. So we'd love to have you join us. Next Sunday, I have absolutely no idea what we're going to talk about, and that's where you come in. please leave me a comment down here as soon as we're finished live. Let me know what you want to see. Is there something you want to talk more about? Is there something you want me to talk less about? I don't know unless you tell me. This has never been about me. This has always been 100% about you and you being successful in your CNC adventures and your CNC journey. So, thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me here. Channel members, I'll see y'all tomorrow evening. And I'll see some of you on the WhatsApp chat as soon as I get back in the house. So, here we go. Here we go. I know what we should talk about. Hit me with it, Leo. Let's go. Should we talk about why you are so eager to volunteer to test stuff at work? We should talk about CNC. Well, okay. Thanks for narrowing that down. Appreciate it, Leo. Thank you very much for spending part of your Sunday with me. I do appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment section and I'll try to get to you. All right? Till then, go do something cool. Have a good day. If you got the weather for it, relax, chill. If you don't, go make some chips or go eat some chips, whichever. It's up to you. Have a good one. Thank you very much, y'all.